Gundam.tk presents High Grade Gundam Age-3 Normal. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2 R's 2 B's from GundamReviews.net as First Grade Exia takes a topple for not the first time. Anyway, I couldn't be more excited to follow up on the High Grade Gundam Age line here after the Age 1 in its various incarnations, and the Age 2, even though it had a little bit less. It's time for Kyo and the big guns in the form of the Double Zeta Age-3 Normal. May 2012 release to coincide with its debut in the anime. More than the average high-grade Age kit here at 1600 yen. And there's the name bar there. You can see that it's number 21 in the HG Age series, and thank you as always, Bandai, and some fantastic cover art there, both on the front and sides. I could have pulled out a lot more Age 1 and 2 variations here, but it's great to see them all together in any grade, and it's only going to get better once they get up to 1/100th Master Grade. Outside of the advanced grade, the only other option before this was buying the gauging builder, which is 1/100th scale, so it's going to fill as a pretty good placeholder until the Master Grade comes out. And don't forget that you can check out its review, as always, on gundam.tk. On to business, though, with a tour around the box, and already it's just exciting to see this many plates for a new lead Gundam, starting with an A plate there, which looks like it's going to have 4 colors, no yellow there, but it is going to have some clear green, which is going to look good in a couple places probably, just a little bit of red. You can see that the yellow is going to be a separate plate to go along with the blue because they will be getting ready for the limb swapping, which we'll see with the Fortress and the Orbital. In terms of color apps, though, you can see that it's got apps all over the place. The Double Zeta had a lot of little colors. This one doesn't have as many, but the yellow down on the ankles and up on the shoulders I think is a nice touch to go along with those Double Zeta flaps, and the core fighter there on the back. You can see back here we're going to have a big clear part on the back there, some cool looking thrusters to go along with the big gun, and you can see that this is going to be a transformer, not as much as the Age 2, but it's going to have a variation on an old theme here with the core fighter, which is the head and chest, combined with the backpack there, and the G-Scepter is going to take the limbs, and it's going to have a swap-off part there, which is going to become sort of the pilot thing. So that's how you can get 2 pilots inside, as we've seen Grandpa Flit end up doing, and it looks like that's the other clear part. You can see that they're going to advertise the details there. We've seen great details outside of the advanced grades in the chest sections. Open hand for cool posing, and because you are going to be transforming it, they're going to give you a custom base there with 2 arms sticking out there. The bonus of being able to store the extra manipulators down below. And how about this? I'm just going to call it the Sigmasis gun until I hear better. Or they say it more often on the anime there. And you can put it on whether it's in G-Scepter form or in MS. And it's really cool that you can take the beam sabers and do them unicorn style out of the forearms there. But you can also have the handles buried under the forearm guards, and he can take them out and put them in his hands. So either way, options are always great in a kit of this size and price, and it looks like there's lots to be had. To the other side, where they're going to talk about the Age 3 and its weapons there, and it's got the Sigmasis rifle there and beam sabers. So not a lot, but you've already seen the Age system perhaps in episode 30. Putting out extra weapons there that can just make this big gun even bigger, and once he puts on the Fortress wear, you can just see that he's going to have even more powerful shots. It's going to talk about its development there. Remember that Kyo changed from a child playing Gundam vs. Gundam Extreme Super Boost Versus in the future. And here you can see some pretty cool looking CG of the Age-3 firing off that big gun as he takes on the Vegans for the 3rd generation in the Asano family. In terms of the model, it's always great to see this unpainted one. It's not going to look quite as good as what we saw on the other side where it's painted up by a pro, but you can see that most of those color apps are all there. You've got the yellow down there, good white and blue on the feet, to go along with the red there in the chest, the yellow parts on the shoulder looking good. I look forward to seeing how that red part is going to work out for the camera lens up there, and overall it looks like it doesn't have too much of a seal there, or it's just at the wrong angle, but it's looking good for even lazy people like me who just put it together right out of the box. And as it's time to go inside, finally, you can see some poly caps here to go along with a sheet of stickers. You're going to have the white, red, green, and blue. I'd imagine that we're going to see some of these plates say Age-3 Normal, and some of them just say Age-3. You can see that the plates are going to be already going up high in number with E. 2 beam sabers there, a plate of gray and blue. And then when you go inside, lots of plates in this kit. You've got a B plate in white, and you're going to have a big chunk there for the base to go along with the gray parts for the inner frame. A survey card from Bandai to go along with the instruction manual. Which is going to show off that great cover art again, number 21, and yes, Kyo Asano, he of a very young age, or so it seems. Yes, people seem to be confused about his gender, but no, he is a boy. As we've seen for all of Age 3, and with his girlfriend, you wonder if we're not going to see the pilot of the Age 4, as I constantly speculate in the anime reviews. Anyway, great line art here. You can see that sometimes it's going to be drawn pretty slender, and sometimes it's going to be really bulked out sumo or double Zeta style, so it's good to see this one. I'm a big fan of the line art here. And when you open this up, you're actually going to be getting a 5-page manual because of the transformation, which is going to show off the front and rear views. Very impressed back there with the thrusters. You'd imagine that some of these are going to be paint apps, though, added by the pro. The core fighter, surprisingly, I've seen some pretty bad core fighters in Gundam, but this one's looking pretty good with those yellow thrusters there on the back, the clear green and the gray overall. The G-Scepter, well, if you saw my gauging building review, it looks like he's just bent over and it just looks absolutely ridiculous. I'm hoping the high grade is just going to keep things a little bit more compressed and a little bit more streamlined, so it doesn't look like some limbs flying through space. Now, who's that man? Yes, Flit has aged quite a bit over the course of this war, and you wonder at the cost of his soul and what the Vegans did to him, and in return what he's been doing to them. But you can see the armaments. Yeah, big gun. That's pretty much all you're going to see. And we haven't had a lot of kits really announced for the Age 3 or the 3rd generation here. You can see the Vegans. You're going to have Zehart and his Giraga, and the Danazine, whose review you can also check out on gundam.tk. Moving down, you can see some of the features they showed off on the side, the custom base there for the transformation, big gun, beam saber in hand looking good, and that core fighter on top of the G-Scepter is looking okay. The Sigmasis rifle worked really well for the gauging builders because it is going to be big and bulky, but it's going to be able to lock in on the GB. It locks in top and bottom. I wonder if it's going to do that here for the high grade, but you can put it into the G-Scepter mode. Beam sabers look to be just the regular side, although again, I'm very impressed that it's got that inside-outside double attack kind of thing, or at least 2 variations. And yes, I was a big fan of the Age 1's variations, where they just sort of seem to do colors and types with speed and power. Age 2 a little bit less so there with just the double billet, or so we know so far. But here with the Fortress and the Orbital, this seems to be one of the cooler ones I've ever seen. Just with the feet pointing down, it's still got the big gun Sigmasis style there, but I'm a big fan of those red shoulders. But the Fortress, if you like CeraVe and you don't mind knockoffs and homages, I think this is great. It's not like CeraVe is completely original to begin with anyway. But I'm a big fan of both the colors here, and you can see that the limbs, unlike with the Age 2, where I thought the limbs were going to be the same at the beginning, you can see here that they're going to have quite a bit of differences here between the waist skirts and the actual limbs. And there's the color guide. This color down here at the bottom, it's pretty much what you expect, the 5 regular Gundam colors counting the inner frame. Here's your clear green, and this part is for the middle part of the chest if you want to get that Age symbol to really pop. To the inside where you've got A, B, C, D, E, F plates, lots of plates for a high grade of this size. You've got some beam sabers, SB9 to go along with polycaps, no X's on here. You can imagine that they designed it around the normal, and the Orbital and Fortress might have a few X's there showing you're not going to use it. It looks pretty interesting. You're going to have to do something fancy with the chest here to be able to pop out the head and that middle section there. The head is going to look really cool. It has a very small part here for the red jewel that's going to fit on, and that yellow V-fin, just amazing what they're able to pull off in 1/144th. The arms are going to be built up separate here. I love that double Zeta style there. It's some cool looking shoulders. Pop the beam sabers in. I wonder if they're going to be a little bit tricky to pop out with if you need a modeler's knife on hand. After you've built up both of the arms, you can put together the upper body, and then it's time to move on to the legs, which are looking pretty blocky there with those little color wraps. You can imagine that some of those won't be existing on the Fortress and the Orbital just because they have totally different limbs. For the waist skirt, they're going to look pretty good there. No beam sabers down there. And after you build up the core fighter, you can just take that, put the thrusters on, and put it on the back. And the Sigmasis, this is all going to be from the F plate here. And it looks like it's not going to have anything to attach on underneath, which I wonder if that's going to cause any weight problems and collapsing issues. Before it's time to put the whole thing in hand, it looks like it's got a bend point there that's just going to drop into the manipulator and then fit underneath. Hopefully just the power of gravity is going to keep it in place there. And it's sort of cool that you can lock it in, not beam rifle style, but bazooka style there, and it's actually going to be standing up as opposed to sitting across as we'd see with something like the Mark II. You can see that you can swap this. It's going to be a little bit of a pain to take these in and out, I suppose. The custom base, though, is going to be pretty interesting. It's just got this whole new mount here for the D34 piece here. When you put in that middle part, it looks like it can be adjusted up and down in 3 different positions. It's going to have a cap cover to put the action base 2, or this regular one that's included, of course, into an uncomfortable position. And for the transformation, yes, the GB was really lame. It's sort of cool that you can just pop this out. Remember the H2 had that collapsing part, and it didn't seem to cause any issues, but you pop the core fighter off, take this out, put that in. I wonder if it's actually going to cover up the head, which would be almost a first. We've seen a lot of Gundams that are just looking like, hey, my head is poking out down below to scour the ground and just see what's down there. And then you're going to build up this custom part here. Remember, it is a little bit of a parts former here if you want to transform it. After you take off the arms, rearrange everything, put it back on, you're going to take that custom part there that you just built, put it in, bend the legs up, and bend the legs down. So you're just going to have somewhat of an awkward S shape there. Looks like the knees and feet can move down just to cover things up ever so slightly. The rifle is going to attach on, which is probably going to cover how ridiculous it looks here. And you can put them both on along with the limbs. So transformation, I'm hoping it's going to be better than the GB, but I'm not that encouraged. So I'm going to wrap up my unbox here, and I've got to say that this was fantastic. Way more plates than expected. Don't forget to stay tuned to check those out, and we can see what we might be able to predict about the Fortress and the Orbital from them. But anyway, the manual, it is a transforming Gundam. Not all that complex, but it looks to be very impressive in terms of just the number of colors, the details, and everything else. Everything you'd expect in a lead with all of this engineering put into it. Anyway, everybody, why don't you let me know what you think with a comment down below. Always love to hear from you. And stay tuned for the next part. And of course, it's going to get all put together shortly. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. Let's see. How did I find out about this product? Where did I buy this product? Why did I decide to buy this product? And how many of the Age kits am I collecting so far? Anyway, just get more Age 3 Generation 3 kits out there, Bandai, already.